In August 2018, two YouTubers with no boxing experience faced off in the ring, and over 1 million fans paid to watch online. That's more viewers than most pro matches are able to attract. Interest in boxing has been falling for decades, and yet a group of YouTubers were able to waltz in with no experience and host 3 of the highest grossing fights of all time. How is it possible that people are rather watching YouTubers than pro athletes compete against each other? In a recent video, we mentioned that Logan Paul is now considered one of the world's most popular athletes, which, understandably, caused quite a debate in the comments. Although the notion of putting influencers on the same level as athletes is nothing new. Thanks to the rise of the creator economy, influencers are compared to athletes all the time. There are even t-shirts that say, "Creatives are the new athletes." But are they really? To understand how those guys were able to knock out professionals in the fight for attention, we need to understand 2 concepts: today's creator economy and boxing. Let's start by breaking down the first one. Before Instagram models and YouTube pranksters, athletes were the original influencers. Victors at the ancient Olympics in Greece would receive free passes to dining clubs and VIP tickets for events from wealthy donors looking for promotion. In ancient Rome, gladiators appeared on street murals, the equivalent of a modern billboard, to build hype for their fights. During these fights, many gladiators would promote brands of olive oil or wine. As the Dark Ages began and sport made way for religion, kings, queens and popes became the influencers of their time. Gaining Queen Victoria's approval for your pottery was the historical equivalent of appearing on Cristiano Ronaldo's Instagram. When the medium of entertainment eventually shifted from Shakespeare and jousting to radio and TV, athletes once again gained prominence. As you can see, the concept of influencers is not a new phenomenon, it just changed with the evolution of media. And so did sports, for example boxing. The sport entered its golden age in the 60s with the rise of live TV. A great way to learn about the world of boxing is by looking at this picture of Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali. At 19 years old, Ali was being photographed for an issue of Sports Illustrated. Not satisfied with the magazine's reach, he asked the photographer to pitch his story to Life, the highest circulation magazine in the US at the time. When it was suggested that the editors would not want to cover a boxer, Ali explained that he was unique because he trained underwater. The photographer was intrigued and sold the story to Life. A few years later, Ali confessed that he had lied about training underwater to increase his chances of being photographed. The stunt worked, with the images going down as some of the most iconic sports photos of all time. It illustrates how important the entertainment factor is in boxing. Being an outstanding athlete is often not enough, you also have to be able to sell a story, and Ali certainly knew how to sell his.
Only last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick.
As his celebrity rose, so did the viewing figures for his fights. During the infamous Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman, an estimated 1 billion people tuned in, about 1/4 of the world's population at the time. But as Ali and his contemporaries fell away from boxing, so did the sport's popularity. For his 20 biggest fights, Floyd Mayweather, arguably the most famous modern boxer, managed to attract around 150 million viewers. For comparison, Ali achieved almost 10 billion views in just 19 fights. There are a number of reasons for this decline. Boxing is not a sport where the athletes can come out week after week and compete. They need months to recover from the brutality and will only enter around 2 fights per year. Contrast that to pro footballers who will appear on the pitch at least 40 times a season. With supply of fights limited, boxing promoters decided to turn their events into huge spectacles. Instead of offering access to the general public through free-to-air television, they hid boxing behind expensive pay-per-view. Pay-per-view is when the broadcast is stuck behind a paywall, with fans needing to buy a ticket to access the stream. But stuck behind a paywall, modern fighters found it hard to build global audiences, and boxing started to disappear from mainstream culture. Until some YouTubers arrived. Joe Weller and Theo Baker first popularized the idea of influencers boxing in 2017. Then, YouTube heavyweights Logan Paul and KSI took the concept to new heights. By building their followings outside of sports and pivoting to whatever platform or style of content gets the most attention, influencers are able to build huge armies of adoring fans. They understood that, while the idea of watching two people punch each other was easy to sell, boxing was simply missing a global audience. So they transplanted their own audience into the sport and watched the ticket sales take off. Fans become more invested with every post, increasing hype and ticket sales. The strategy is so effective, you can even see it on Google Trends. Jake Paul's fights caused huge upswings in boxing's popularity. Boxers have even started to copy the influencer approach. Ryan Garcia is a professional boxer, but spends his spare time growing a massive online audience. In 2021, Gatorade cited Garcia's large global fan base as a major reason behind why they signed him to a sponsorship deal. So it works both ways. Influencers becoming athletes, and athletes becoming influencers. There is one big but. As we've learned, there are two things that lead to success in boxing: being a good entertainer and being a good athlete. YouTubers may be as good as Ali in selling a fight, but they are nowhere near as good at boxing. In fact, it feels a bit like blasphemy even comparing them. Boxing may have received a boost from the influx of influencers, but the same approach probably wouldn't work anywhere else. Can you imagine paying to watch Logan Paul and KSI play tennis? Or basketball? Add a few punches and it's an easier sell. Boxing is one of the few sports that doesn't necessarily need incredibly skilled athletes to be entertaining. It's fun to watch two show-offs beat each other up, even if they don't have the best technique. It is impressive how far influencers have come in professional boxing, but it wouldn't work in any other sport. In fact, Logan Paul and KSI recently tried their luck with football by hosting a charity all-star match that included some big names from social media and YouTube. We assume our invitation got lost in the post. While more than 2 million worldwide viewers and over €1 million raised for charity are incredible achievements, this event will not see Lionel Messi being replaced by Mr. Beast. Charity games rely on novelty and could never maintain these numbers across an entire season. So why are sports like football unaffected by this influencer invasion? Easier access and a greater number of events means that tennis and football already have a global audiences and are populated with superstars. These superstars, known for their incredible physical achievements and dominance of their sports, are often far superior at influencing behavior, even without being super loud and extrovert. Just look at Rafael Nadal. Everybody wants to watch him play, without him making a show at press conferences. It's the pure aura of having mastered a skill like nobody else in the world that makes people want to watch these kind of athletes, and what makes them very credible influencers. So maybe YouTubers becoming professional boxers are actually not a sign of influencers becoming more important than athletes, but the other way around. Influencers realizing that athletes are the ultimate kind of influencers. Logan Paul and KSI were well aware of this fact when they launched their Prime hydration drink. Instead of showing highlights of pranks, Paul's Instagram is now filled with posts about his fitness journey and images of his sporting success. Prime hydration drinks were front and center when Paul announced that he was joining WWE. His decision to enter wrestling is a calculated move to grow his profile as a professional athlete and use the WWE as a powerful launchpad. The former rivals understood that athletes are incredibly effective at selling products because they exude a sense of success and superiority. The duo wasted no time using any links to athletic credibility they could find to boost the sales of their drink. This seems to be paying off. The company was launched in January 2022 and is already selling more than 10 million bottles a month. But building a real sports brand with long-term success is a different story. There are plenty of hyped Instagram brands who disappeared just as quickly as they rose. Often those brands have no real USP, but just understand the algorithms a bit earlier than the established brands. or how to successfully buy an ad on TikTok. There is a reason why Nike and Red Bull are still the leading sports brands in the world. Because they know that the core is being a performance-driven sports brand that has the athletes at the center. Everything else follows from that. Influencers as multipliers are nice, but they will never replace true athletes. If you want to sell a product, the air of success that follows the likes of Rafael Nadal or Cristiano Ronaldo is hard to fabricate. So no, creatives are not the new athletes. Athletes are still athletes, and some influencers are trying to be athletes. But no matter if influencer or athlete, both are using our video sponsor Shopify to manage their businesses. We actually made a whole series of videos about athletes who trust Shopify as an easy-to-use, all-in-one commerce platform. For example, Logan Paul and KSI with their Prime drink. Shopify empowers athletes and creators around the world by providing the resources that used to be reserved for large corporations. In that sense, it is the perfect tool for the business athlete generation, because it allows you to pursue independence and follow your dream. So if you have a business, want to scale and sell online on all major social platforms, Shopify is the way to go. We hope this got you inspired, and if it did, make sure to check shopify.com/athleticinterest or the link in the description and build your business today. Thanks a lot for supporting us.